Have you noticed this moment? Right before you make a big move, a message, a decision, a change. You don't say yes. You don't say no. You pause. Not because you don't care, but because you care too much . For some of you, this pause lasts days. For others, years. You replay the same question in your head, over and over. What if this is the wrong move? What if I regret it? What if I ruin something that's still okay? And from the outside, it looks like hesitation. But from the inside, it feels like standing at the edge of something deep. Not fear exactly. More like weight. The weight of consequences. The weight of identity. The weight of knowing that once you move, you can't fully go back. So you stay still. You gather more information. You wait for clarity. You wait for confidence. You wait for a sign. And slowly, the opportunity cools. The job closes. The relationship drifts. The version of you that almost acted fades into a quiet maybe someday. And the worst part, you start telling yourself a story. That's just who I am. I'm bad at decisions. I overthink everything. I freeze when it matters. But let's be honest. If hesitation were the problem, you'd hesitate about everything . But you don't. You can make hundreds of small decisions a day. What to eat. What to say. What to ignore. You only freeze before the big moves. The ones that might change how you see yourself. Or how others see you. The ones that close one door by opening another. This isn't laziness. It isn't lack of ambition. It's something more human. It's the moment where your future selves all start talking at once. And none of them want to be the one who ruins your life. So they shout. They argue. They warn. And you stand there, caught between them. Still. If that's you, this isn't a video about pushing harder. It's about understanding what's actually happening in that pause. Because once you see it clearly, the pause stops feeling like a flaw. It starts looking like a signal. And signals can be worked with. Here's the uncomfortable truth. You're not stuck because you don't know what to do. You're stuck because you know too many possible outcomes . Every big move carries loss. Even the right one. If you change careers, you lose the version of you that stayed safe. If you commit, you lose all the other possibilities. If you walk away, you lose what was familiar. And your mind hates loss. Not dramatic loss. Quiet loss. The kind no one talks about. The life you didn't choose. So before a big decision, your mind does something protective. It tries to simulate everything. Every regret. Every mistake. Every awkward conversation. Every I should have known better. Not to sabotage you, but to protect you from pain you can't undo. The problem is, you experience all of that pain in advance . Your body doesn't know the difference between a future scenario and a real one. So your chest tightens. Your thoughts loop. Your energy drops. And suddenly, doing nothing feels safer than doing something. Because doing nothing keeps all options alive. At least in theory. This is why hesitation feels responsible, mature, careful. It feels like intelligence. But here's the conflict. Life doesn't wait for certainty. Opportunities decay. People move on. Windows close quietly. And the longer you wait, the more pressure the decision carries. Now it's not just a choice. It's proof . Proof of whether you're capable. Proof of whether you're brave. Proof of whether you're the kind of person who follows through. So the decision grows heavier. Until eventually, your hesitation becomes the thing you're afraid to look at. You start avoiding the decision itself. Not because you don't care, but because it now feels like a verdict on who you are. This is where people get stuck for years. Not moving forward. Not moving back. Just circling the same mental room. Rearranging the furniture. And telling themselves, once I feel ready, I'll move. But readiness doesn't come from thinking. It comes from a different place entirely. Here's the reframe most people never hear. You're not afraid of the decision. You're afraid of asterisk being wrong about yourself star. Every big move secretly asks a question. Who am I, really? Am I the kind of person who commits? Am I the kind of person who leaves? Am I ambitious enough? Loyal enough? Capable enough? So when you hesitate, you're not weighing options. You're protecting an identity. Because once you act, the story solidifies. Before the move, you can still be someone who could. After the move, you're just someone who did. And that feels terrifying. If you've built your self-worth on potential, on being the person with options, with depth, with complexity, hesitation keeps you undefined. It keeps you safe from disappointment, but it also keeps you invisible to your own life. Here's the shift. Big moves don't define who you are. They reveal what you're ready to learn next. A decision isn't a sentence. It's a chapter. And chapters are allowed to end. You don't need certainty. You need permission to treat your life as adjustable, not final. Most people wait for confidence before they move. But confidence often comes after movement. After feedback. After friction. After reality replaces imagination. So instead of asking, what's the perfect choice? Try a gentler question. What choice teaches me something without destroying my life? That question lowers the stakes. It turns hesitation into curiosity. And suddenly, the pause doesn't disappear, but it softens. Because you're no longer asking your future to justify your entire identity. You're just asking it to teach you something honest. And that's a much lighter step to take. Here's where everything changes. The pause you feel is not a stop sign. It's a dashboard light. It's your mind saying, this matters. Please slow down. Most people make one of two mistakes here. They either ignore the signal and force themselves forward, or they obey it completely and never move at all. But hesitation isn't asking for either. It's asking for containment star. Big moves feel overwhelming because they're usually framed as permanent. This choice will decide my future. This will lock me into a path. This is who I'll be now. That framing is what crushes you. So let's change the frame. Instead of a leap, treat big moves like experiment star. Experiments have boundaries, time limits, exit options. They're not forever. They're for now star. Ask yourself, what does this decision look like if it only has to last 6 months? Suddenly, your body exhales. The weight shifts. Because 6 months isn't a life sentence. It's a season. Hesitation often disappears when the stakes are lowered to something the nervous system can handle. Another signal hidden in hesitation is ambiguity. You're not scared of action. You're scared of acting without structure. So add structure. Name the fear out loud, if you can. Not vague fear. Specific fear. I'm afraid I'll feel stupid. I'm afraid I'll disappoint someone. I'm afraid I'll waste time. Once named, fears stop multiplying. Then add a safety net. What would keep this from becoming catastrophic? Not perfect. Just survivable. Savings. A backup plan. A skill you keep sharp. A door you don't lock completely. This is not weakness. This is respect for how humans actually change. Slowly. In steps. With room to adjust. When hesitation is met with kindness and structure, it stops shouting. It starts cooperating. Here's something no one tells you. You don't need bravery to make big moves. You need traction star. Bravery is loud. Traction is quiet. Bravery says, I'll figure it out. Traction says, I'll take one step. That makes the next step easier. If you're waiting to feel fearless, you'll wait forever. Fear doesn't disappear before meaningful change. It reshapes after you move. So instead of asking yourself to decide everything, ask yourself to do one thing. That cannot be undone. Send the email. Schedule the call. Apply once. Try 1 week. Not to commit forever. Just to break stillness. Stillness feeds anxiety. Movement feeds information. And information is calming. Another quiet shift. Stop asking, is this the right move? Start asking, does this move respect who I am right now ? Not who you should be. Not who others expect. Not who you were 5 years ago. Who you are now . Because many people hesitate. Not because the move is wrong, but because it's being made for an outdated version of themselves. Give yourself permission to update, to change your mind, to outgrow old plans, without turning them into failures. You're allowed to move slowly and still move forward. You're allowed to choose something without declaring it permanent. And most importantly, you're allowed to build a life that unfolds in chapters, not ultimatums. Hesitation fades when action stops trying to prove something, when movement becomes exploration, not self-judgment. And once you feel that, the next big move doesn't feel like a cliff. It feels like a step, a careful one, but a real one. There's a quieter pain beneath hesitation. It's not the decision itself. It's the shame around how long it's taking you. You notice it when you compare timelines. They decided already. They moved already. They seem so sure. And you start doing math with your life. I should be further by now. I shouldn't still be thinking about this. What's wrong with me? This is where hesitation turns cruel. Because now it's not just about the move. It's about your worth. You don't just feel stuck. You feel behind. And once shame enters the room, clarity leaves. Shame makes everything heavier, louder, more urgent. It tells you that every pause is a flaw. But here's what rarely gets said. Some people move quickly because they don't feel much friction. Their path aligns early. Their values match their environment. Their decisions don't threaten their identity. Others feel more. They sense consequences deeply. They see second and third order effects. They carry responsibility in their body. That doesn't make them weak. It makes them careful star. And careful people often move slower because they're trying to move honestly. But modern culture doesn't respect honest timing. It respects visible speed. So you internalize the wrong lesson. You tell yourself the delay means failure. That slowness equals incompetence. That caution equals fear. And eventually, you start punishing yourself for pausing. You rush decisions to escape the shame. Or you freeze completely. Because now the move feels contaminated. Either way, you lose trust in yourself. So let's say this clearly. You are not late. You are not broken. Because your life didn't unfold on a clean schedule. There is no universal clock you're failing to keep up with. Most timelines you compare yourself to are edited. They don't show the uncertainty, the reversals, the years spent circling. They show the arrival, not the wandering. And wandering is not wasted time. Wandering is how some people gather information about themselves, about what they can tolerate, about what they won't sacrifice again. If you've been hesitating for a long time, it doesn't mean you lack courage. It may mean you've been listening closely. The real damage happens when you turn that listening into self-attack. Because the moment you shame yourself, you stop hearing what the hesitation was trying to tell you. Instead of asking, "What do I need to feel safe moving?" you ask, "Why can't I just be normal?" That question has no gentle answers. So here's a different way to meet this moment. Imagine you're not late. Imagine you're early to a version of life that requires more alignment than urgency. Imagine that the pause was preparing you to choose with integrity, not panic. When you see hesitation this way, it stops being evidence against you. It becomes part of your process. And processes don't have moral value. They're not good or bad. They're just your star. This is where self-compassion matters most. Not as a concept, as a practice. Self-compassion sounds like this. It makes sense that this is hard. Anyone carrying what I'm carrying would pause. I don't need to punish myself to move forward. Notice what that does. Your shoulders drop. Your breath deepens. Your thinking softens. From that state, movement becomes possible again. Not dramatic movement. Honest movement. You don't move to prove something. You move because staying still no longer protects you. And maybe the biggest shift of all is this. You stop measuring your life by how fast you decide. You start measuring it by how well you can live with your decisions. That changes everything. Because now the question isn't, how do I stop hesitating? It's, how do I choose in a way that doesn't abandon myself? And when that becomes the goal, the shame loosens its grip. The pause becomes quieter. And for the first time in a long while, you're not rushing toward a future or running from the past. You're standing where you are, with respect, ready, not because the fear is gone, but because you no longer believe. That fear means something is wrong with you. It just means you're human. And humans don't move on command. They move when they feel understood, first by others, and eventually by themselves. So let's come back to that moment. The pause. The space right before you act. Or don't. For a long time, you thought that pause was your enemy. Something to overcome. Something to fix. Something standing between you and the life you're supposed to live. But now you know better. That pause was never empty. It was full of information. Full of care. Full of a mind trying to protect what matters most to you. The problem was never hesitation. It was the way you treated it. You treated it like a weakness, so it turned into fear. You treated it like a flaw, so it turned into shame. But when you treat hesitation like a conversation instead of a verdict, it changes its tone. It stops screaming. It starts guiding. Here's the final shift. Big moves don't require certainty. They require self-trust star. Not the loud kind. The quiet kind. The kind that says, even if this doesn't go the way I hope, I won't abandon myself. That sentence alone removes more fear than any plan ever could. Because what you're really afraid of isn't the wrong decision. It's being alone with it. So make yourself a promise. Not about success. Not about outcomes. About presence. Promise that you'll stay with yourself. If it's hard. If it's awkward. If it doesn't match the fantasy. When you know you won't disappear on yourself, decisions lose their power to paralyze. They become survivable. Livable. Human. You don't need to become someone else to move forward. You don't need more confidence, or clarity, or permission from the future. You need one honest step, taken in good faith. One step that respects your limits. and your longing at the same time. That might look small to others. It might look slow, but it will feel clean inside. And that's how you know it's right. Not because it's fearless, but because it's *aligned star. If you're still in the pause right now, let this be enough for today. You're not failing. You're not behind. You're not broken. You're listening. And listening is not inactivity. It's preparation. The world tells you to hurry. Your mind tells you to be careful. You don't have to choose between them. You can move carefully. You can choose gently. You can build a life that doesn't require you to betray your nervous system, just to keep up. And when you do take the step, whenever that is, let it be because you trust yourself enough to learn from it, not because you finally silenced the fear. Fear doesn't need to be silenced. It needs to be carried by something stronger. Self-trust. If this helped you put language to something you felt for a long time, you don't need to do anything with it. You don't need to act today. Just notice the pause. Next time it shows up, notice how it feels. When you meet it with respect, that alone changes the trajectory. And if you want more of this kind of thinking, more maps like this for the inner terrain, there's more here when you're ready. No pressure, just an open door. Take it when it feels right.